Hey, and welcome to For Action Takers Only. Tonight we're going to have Joseph Mudd on. He is a SubTo student also that is currently doing multifamily and apartments. So we're wanting to bring him in and find out more about that. I wanted to also just announce real quick, if y'all like what's going on with podcasts, man, y'all subscribe, like, follow, do all that stuff. We need the support. So here's Joseph Mudd.
What's up, everybody? Super excited to be here. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate you for bringing me on. I'm excited to just be here and hang out.
Man, I really appreciate you doing this, and we've been trying to get it going for a little bit and having a little back and forth, but yeah, everybody's schedules are kind of crazy, but it's understandable.
Yeah, man. Yeah, totally apologize. It's been like what, three or 4 weeks. We've been going back and forth, just missing each other's schedules. So yeah, about time we actually made it happen.
Right, right.
I really like that light behind you. I didn't notice it until it was on the big screen. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's my tree light. I got that at garage sale, and I put the LEDs in it. And then I have an issue with my Indian drawing. My camera wants to focus more on that drawing than it does me. So,
It sees the face. It sees the face.
it sees the face, and the funny thing is, I drew that with a ballpoint pen. So,
Wow.
yeah, realistic drawing. It wants to focus more on it than it does me.
Man, I got to get you to draw some stuff for me, man. I'm running out of space on my wall here, but it's definitely ready for some more. I got space right here.
I see that. I see that. I like that wall. I like what you got going on there.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's funny, but this baseball bat right here has actually raised me a bunch of money. Going back to multifamily, right? I've had at least 3 people specifically invest with me just because they like that on the wall. They're like, "Wow, this guy, he's got the same values as me. I like the cut of his jib, right?" And so
I like that.
that's what I wasn't doing it for that intention. I just thought it was a good place to hang it, and
Right.
it ended up connecting with me with people that were meant to be.
Right. And that will. I think that'll continue to happen. So
Oh,
cool,
absolutely.
man. All for it. Love the gun too. Like the gun up there.
Oh
That
yeah.
is that a AR?
AR-15, I believe.
Okay.
AR-15.
Yeah, that's a nice looking one. We'll have to go. Where are you at? We'll have to go shooting sometime.
Man, I'm in Conroe, so the perfect place to go do something like that. There's tons of gun ranges out here, so by all means, man, let me know. I'm ready to go.
Let me know when you got a Saturday. Probably in December. Right now, November's pretty full right now for Saturdays. So,
Man, any other day but Saturday.
oh,
Well,
Saturday.
Saturdays are probably best. So here on Saturday for like the next 48 weeks, I think I'll be busy almost every single Saturday when I'm doing a teen millionaire challenge with Tim Mai.
Really?
Uh, and what we're doing is essentially kind of what we're about to talk about here, right? We are teaching multifamily real estate to teens. So anybody that is 16 to 21, it's free. So anybody that has a kid or is a kid watching this, that absolutely free to go sign up. Just go to teenmillionairechallenge.com and you'll get a whole bunch of knowledge. Like all this stuff that I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn, we're teaching it absolutely for free. And we're also going to be creating a fund as part of that challenge for the teens to be able to invest themselves and help raise money. That way they can be a part of multiple different deals.
Dude,
I love them perfectly.
I'm like 16, right? No. Can I get into that? That
16
sounds like
going on 30, huh?
right. Yeah, that sounds like a great deal. But what was the website again?
All right, it's teenmillionairechallenge.com, and it's
Okay.
free. I don't get paid for it. It's completely volunteer. So I promise I'm not making any money off of it. I'm getting value for the soul from that one.
Cool. Well, I'll have to get that link and put that in the description. Let people know about that. So,
For sure.
how long have you been in SubTo?
Man, my wife and I joined back in December 2020. So it's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in a month.
3 years. So how long were you in SubTo before you decided to jump into multifamily and doing apartments?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we always wanted to do multifamily. We just thought it was so much further away for us than it truly was. So we started in May April or May of last year is when we started. So it's been about a year and a half since then. So if you were to take that, it was about a year and a half. Yeah, so about a year and a half that it took for us to actually get started in multifamily, and we've been doing it for about a year and a half as well.
Okay. So how many doors do you own multifamily?
Currently, we own 3 properties, and we have 108 units across those 3 properties.
Wow. So, and how long did that take to acquire that?
Well, the first two we actually got in the first 7 months. And then during that time was when the market was transitioning from being a seller's market where the seller could essentially, name their price and the buyers had to kind of compete to actually be awarded the deal. Now we're in more of a buyer's market where the sellers are their pricing expectations is here, but buyers, our offers are down here and we're just, can't come to quite an agreement there. So it's been a lot slower in the market. And so we've only we closed our third one what last in September, so 2 months ago now. And
Okay.
that one we were dealing with since October of last year. So that one took almost a whole year to actually close it.
Oh, wow. So these deals take a while then, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean it depends on the structure, right? The first two were seller finance deals. The third one was a loan assumption, and we had to go back and forth on a bunch of things with the seller. So you're gonna hear this from me all night, I'm sure, but it depends. It truly depends on the situation, the deal specifics, the seller specifics, your monetary specifics. All that's gonna affect the quickness and the structure of the deal.
Okay. So are you still pursuing single family homes while doing the multifamily?
Yeah, absolutely. So the single family for us pays the bills, right? Multifamily is definitely a long-term play. You can make a lot of money up front and over the cash flow as well, but the real money for multifamily is actually on the back end when you actually sell or refinance the property. That's where the wealth is made, right? The other stuff is nice and it kind of keeps you afloat, but it's not enough to live off of unless you're doing it at a massive scale or the properties you're taking down are really, really big properties where the acquisition fee is enough to carry you for a year. So that first year up until about July of this year, we were only doing multifamily. We stopped all of our single family. We were only doing multifamily. That's probably how we were able to get those 2 properties so quickly. But we quickly realized that it wasn't sustainable to do that. And so we picked back up with our wholesale operation. And so we actually have a team doing direct to agent now, and they are absolutely crushing it. Shout out to the team. And it's been a game changer because before we were doing everything ourselves, and that was not sustainable. I have no idea how we lasted so long doing that. Uh, Building the team was absolutely a game changer for us, and we have amazing people on the team. I'm almost completely out of the acquisition side of our wholesale operation. I mostly just do the TC and the dispo now, but those will both be hired positions here very soon.
Okay. So how many people you currently have on your team?
We are at 13 people, not including my wife and I. We have 13.
Okay. All right. And
And
before that, you said y'all were doing it all yourselves. So with
yeah,
multifamily and the single family?
yeah, and we have partners, right? We have partners in all of the deals that we have on multifamily. So I'm not discrediting that. They're involved. They have stuff going on, but we all have roles. We all have specific roles that we're in charge of or responsible for, and that's kind of the way that multifamily is done. You don't just JV a deal and hey, let's split 50-50 like you would do like on a single family or something like that. With multifamily, the equity or the percentages are based on what roles each partner is doing and then how much you allocate towards that certain role. So some roles may be worth more equity than other roles.
All right. So how many single home families do you own then now?
Well, we had one that we were going to wrap, and that just didn't go the way that we wanted it to. So we ended up wholesaling it off to another investor who's going to do a lease option strategy. And that was the only one that we owned. Other than that, we wholesale everything. And personally, that's how I want to keep it. The only house or the only single family homes that I'm looking for currently to acquire is a personal residence for myself. And I might have some family members looking as well, so those personal residences. And I don't necessarily need to own it, but I am looking for vacation places, vacation rentals. So either I become a partner in the deal, or I just become really good friends with the person that owns it and I can use it when I want. So that's the only reason I want the vacation spots, is just so I can travel for cheap.
Right.
But yeah,
You got some spots in mind or what?
oh man, I want to travel everywhere. So I'm kind of open to anywhere, as long as I love the water. So anywhere that's by a beach, a lake, or river, I'd be so down for anything like that. The river is, I'm from Texas, so the river is like an absolute, happy spot for my wife and I. Some of the best memories I've had have just been floating down the river, just having a good time. So anything like that, I'm all on board. I love the mountains, being in the country, any like destination spots. So
Okay.
anything like that would be fantastic.
All right. So tell me the dynamic with you and your wife in this. How is that working with doing real estate investing and getting into multifamily and stuff like that?
For sure. And to, I guess, truly understand, I should take it back to like when we first started to how it is now. Man, when we first started, can't tell you how many times we got into arguments about, hey, you were supposed to do this, but it didn't happen, or vice versa. And we learned very, very quickly that we need to separate business and emotion. And because of that, we've gotten really, really good at being able to do that with each other and our partners that we work with. So I find that as a strength for us, that we're both able to do that very easily, separate business and emotion, which a lot of people can't do. And then we also learned you just got to stay in your lane, like figure out what you're responsible for, get it done, and then let the other person do what they need to do and not micromanage. So those are the two things that we learned like extremely fast.
That's awesome.
Outside of that, we learned that both of us don't care for acquisitions. But she liked it less than I did. So I ended up being the acquisitions guy. So I got good at getting on the phones, where she actually really enjoyed the dispo side for the single family stuff. Now, transitioning more into our multifamily, it's a little bit different, right? Um, excuse me.
You're all right.
So there's three main roles when it comes to multifamily, and then you can break that down much further and get really nitty gritty. But just for simplicity's sake, we'll keep it real high level. So there's three main roles. You have the acquisitions, which is going out, finding the deals, sourcing them, doing the broker relationship, like building that relationship with brokers and other deal sources, whether that's other GPs or other wholesalers. We don't typically work with a lot of wholesalers, but it's possible. Doing the underwriting side of stuff, like actually structuring the deals, and then going one step further. Once you do have an accepted LOI, now you're doing all like the due diligence and the actual structuring of the paperwork, dealing with the title, dealing with the attorneys, dealing with the other seller, dealing with all of that stuff, right? That's all considered acquisitions, all of that upfront work.
Okay.
Right? Then the next bucket is the capital raise, which straightforward, right, is raising capital, bringing the money to the table. That's its own bucket. That's a huge part of this. Like I know people that is the only thing that they do. They don't go and find deals. They don't go and operate deals, which is the third bucket. All they do is focus on the capital raise. They just bring money to people's deals, and they're good at it, right? I met someone this past week at a mastermind I was at, and they have access to $60 million, and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, hey, I got this deal, this deal, this deal, and this deal. We can put your money to work right now. We can go
I
just
know what to do with it.
like I know exactly what to do with it. So there's absolutely opportunity for someone. If you have capital around you, you don't need to know anything about multifamily. You can, it doesn't have to be me. I would like for it to be me, but you can partner up with people that are doing deals and operating deals effectively. And those can be really good partners for you. So the last bucket, right? The last structure of how that goes is the operations side. And that is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking it from closing to all the way up until you actually sell or refinance the property. And that entire in between, that's like you're taking care of the asset, you're following the business plan that was based from the underwriting. So that's operations. That's a lot of work. And personally, for my wife and I, which is the point ultimately I'm getting to, we like the acquisitions and the raising capital side. Those are the two that we feel the most strongly where our strengths are. I mean, we can do the operations, but it makes more sense for us to just focus on those two because we enjoy them versus doing all three, right? Because there's not a single person out there that can do all three to maximum potential. One of those areas is going to suffer at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So we have both of us, which does help, but it makes more sense for us to just secure good partnerships that with people that all they want to do is the operations part. And I have multiple people that I've made really strong relationships that I can hand essentially the keys and say, here, run with it. Do whatever you got to do to make this property succeed. Here's the business plan. Let's do it. Right. And so that's for our particular business model, what we structured. Now, as far as how me and KJ operate within that, um, we did just have a baby. So my wife is much less involved than she used to
Congrats.
be before. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Before, she was very hands-on. She was doing the broker outreach. She was doing the investor relations. She was our brand, right? She still is our brand. She's the person going out there, making the connections, bringing them into our sphere, our network. And then once they get past the filter, right? I could call her the filter. Once they
Mm-hmm.
get past the filter, then they come into our sphere, into the inner circle, and then I start working with them from there, whether that's underwriting deals with them, actually like working on the actual deal itself. I'm still actively involved in all of the asset management calls for the properties that we do have. So as much as I want to be hands off, I'm still there. I'm still taking an active role where I have, say in what's getting done, but it's
Right.
not my primary role to do that. So that's kind of at a high level how we operate. She's bringing them in. She's finding out who do we want to work with. She's getting people attracted to our name, our attention. I mean, you probably, I think you heard of us through a Houston SubTo call, right? That's where that came
I
from.
heard actually through Oscar. I saw Oscar. Yeah, he was
I love it.
interviewing you. So I was like, man, yeah, hell yeah, I got to get you on.
I love it. I love it. So, well, great, great. That's different. But my example, that SubTo call, I had
Mm-hmm.
no part in setting that up. All I did was just show up, man. That's all KJ. She's behind the scenes, putting everything together, getting me up on these podcasts. I mean, to be honest to you, the first response you got from me was actually from my wife. She
Oh,
was
really?
she was on my
All right.
phone handling it because I had like 60 messages in there that I just hadn't responded to yet. And
Right.
so she went back, followed up with everybody. And so she was like, hey, he wants you on your podcast. You need to show up. So I was like, great, let me, continue the follow up. So she's
Well, tell her
huge.
thank you very much.
Absolutely. Oh, I do every day. Have you ever seen Suits? Have you
Yes.
ever seen Suits? Okay. So she is my Donna. That's the best
All
way to,
right.
yeah, she's amazing, man. I truly would be so lost trying to handle all this without her. Like it'd really be really difficult.
So you're becoming a Houston power couple. So my next interview with y'all, I'll have to have you both on as a Houston
Yeah.
power couple. Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm down, man. I'm down.
So tell me, when you started in SubTo 2020, and then you start deciding to go towards single family homes. What's the difference there? How do you go and find the leads? I know it's a different monster. It's not like the same thing with single families. You're not calling agents, are you? You're not calling. I mean, how do you find the sellers?
Yeah. So you said finding single family, but I'm
Oh,
sure you were
sorry,
talking multifamily.
multifamily.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought so. I just want to make sure. So it's actually very, very similar. Like it's almost an identical process. Like for example, our wholesale business is 100% direct to agent. That's
Okay.
the exact same model that we follow with our multifamily business. We're doing direct to broker outreach. So that's
Okay.
the only term. The biggest difference is the terminology. Honestly, that's the biggest difference. Other than that, it's the same thing, just more zeros.
All right. So you're wholesaling single families. Are
Mhm.
you're not wholesaling the multifamilies too, are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
We
really?
come across deals all the time. Typically, the ones that we're open to wholesaling is the ones that are smaller units that would be a little bit more accessible to the smaller time buyer, right? More of those entry level deals. I mean, we could wholesale the big ones too,
Mhm.
but at that point, it's really you're really targeting specific groups. So if I don't know for sure I have a buyer for whatever it is, then I probably won't, spend the time to do it because it's a lot of work, right?
I
It's a
would.
lot involved. So, and the other thing is, a lot of deals just don't pencil right now. Kind of what I was saying earlier about the sellers being here and our buying offers are down here.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't even get them to come down to here, there's no point in even trying to wholesale it if our offer is still here, because this is where it would make sense for us. In order
Right.
for us to wholesale it, we'd have to find a buyer that either has way more money and more buying power that they can come up a little bit, or we're going to have to get them down even below where our offer would be at. So it's a little bit of a balancing act, and it really just makes sense to wholesale the smaller stuff because it's easier to find a buyer for those.
You keep talking about the market being different. How do you see it? Do you think it's getting worse or do you think it's getting better?
So we were here, and
Mm-hmm.
we dropped down dramatically, and it kind of like it got here and then kind of slowly got worse, got a little bit better. Rates started going down just a little bit, and now we're going back down again. So those rates are going back up.
All right.
I foresee it getting worse before it ever gets better. So within the next year, I think it's still going to keep declining. The market wise, I think we're going to keep declining until it hits kind of like a plateau, and then I think it's going to start kind of correcting itself. I mean, you see it now. There's multiple different things rolling out. Like I just saw Grant Cardone put out something about Fannie Mae releasing
Yes.
a new debt option where
Mm-hmm.
you can actually come and buy a small multifamily, like a duplex, triplex, quadplex,
With
for
a
5% down.
yeah, with a
And
DSRC something.
absolutely incredible, incredible. So I mean, I'll do that all day.
All right. Well, what about, have you heard the other stuff where there's certain places where the government is paying people to invest in office buildings to convert them into apartments or
Wow.
multifamily dwellings?
No,
Have you
I
heard anything
missed
about
that
that?
one, but no, that's definitely a good play as well.
Right.
Truly is because office buildings, right? They're becoming a mute point in the today's society, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's remote. Like I've been working from my house for the past 3 years, and a lot of people are doing the same thing. Most
Right.
people aren't even going to an office or work anymore. They're able to work from home. Like I have buddies that would go to work every single day, and now they have a remote option. Like my mom has the same thing with her job. She's able to remote work or work remotely. There we go. That's what I was trying to say.
Yep.
And that was not an option that she had before. It's just we're in a changing environment, which I'm excited about. I love it. I get to spend time with my daughter, my wife. I don't have to actually leave and deal with traffic, and I'm able to get everything done and accomplished the way I would normally.
So how many single families or single family wholesale deals you do in a month?
Well, we have three closing this week. Well, not this week. I think one tomorrow and two next week. So that's exciting. And then we have two more that we're looking for a buyer on. If anybody's buying in Savannah, Georgia, or a condo in Houston, Texas, hit me up. I got two
Send me the
properties right now.
information.
Yeah, I got you. You can reach out to me through Instagram there, and
Okay.
my wife will probably answer you back.
I'll try and find somebody. I'm trying to do some connector deals myself. Had some other things fall through, so I need to get some things working.
Yeah, definitely, man. There are definitely opportunities out there for sure. I mean, that's just what we have under contracts. We also have JV deals being sent to us from other people. I try to vet those as much as I can. I want to only send out good quality deals, so I make sure that they are good deals before I send them out. And then that's not even including all of the LOIs that we have. And I've sent out two contracts that are waiting to be signed. One is getting reviewed by their attorney, and then one, the agent is going to meet with the seller tomorrow to answer any questions. So those two are pending contracts, both in Houston on those. Those would be good wrap deals. And then all the other stuff. We're in like multiple different states just to kind of maximize our potential. And believe it or not, Alabama is crushing it. I would have never thought Alabama would be a
Huh.
market that would be doing super well, but we are getting a lot of good deals in Alabama.
All right. So what are you focusing on for the next year? You got any more multifamilies? Are you doing commercial too? Since I heard you say in the interview with Oscar that sometimes the apartments and doing multifamily stuff like that is like a commercial deal instead of a residential deal. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so a commercial property is essentially, for simplicity's sake, is anything that's valued based on the income that it's producing, right?
Hmm.
So a 5+ unit property is considered commercial, whereas 4 units and lower is not. That's considered residential. So once you get into the commercial side of things, it's all about how much money is that property producing? Is income minus expenses. That's your NOI or net operating income. Um, that's going to determine the value. So as far as us doing other commercial, it's not a focus of ours, but I'm not necessarily opposed, right? If the right deal just fell out of the sky and into my lap, I would definitely look at it. And if I knew someone ready to pull the trigger on it, I'd probably bring it to them and do the deal with them. I have people for storage units. I've got guys who want to buy mobile home parks, RV parks all day. I mean, those two for sure, I'd be very interested. I have a couple people for hotels and motels, but what one that I'm really looking into now a lot is doing assisted living facilities, mainly
Okay.
because I partnered up with somebody that is their primary focus. They are specifically looking for multifamily operators to utilize the buildings that they buy as assisted living facilities. So they're specifically looking for vacant properties, which anybody that's in multifamily, like, that is not the norm. Though that's the property that you just throw away off to the side. That's way too much work, a headache. I don't want to deal with that. But for
Hmm.
them, that's like the perfect property. So
Okay.
now it gives me another perspective when I'm looking at these deals. So I have one in Dallas, one in Detroit, and one in Arkansas that we're looking at that it fits exactly that. It's a completely vacant property. It's ready to be utilized as an assisted living facility, and whether that's for old folks, whether that's a group home, whether it's a sober living or Narcotics Anonymous living, there's a bunch of different purposes that can go there, and it's just a specific business model that ultimately is very profitable. So anything that fits those, I just bring it to this guy, do exactly what I said, right? I'll handle the acquisitions, I'll structure, I'll negotiate, I'll put everybody in place to do it, and then I say, here's the keys, run it, right? They're going to take it, they're going to implement the business plan that they have, utilizing their expertise, and I'll be essentially pretty passive with that, and I'll bring the money.
Cool. So I want to step back and go rewind a little bit. How much experience did you have before coming into SubTo?
We closed one deal. We closed one deal and felt like we were drowning. So our journey began our real estate journey began in like peak of COVID. We
Okay.
lost our jobs. I had to sell my truck. I had to sell a bunch of stuff just to kind of keep afloat. Ended up losing the apartment. Had to move back in with my dad. And throughout this time, my wife, she does not like to settle. Right? She knows what she wants. That's why I like her. But she was like, we got to figure something out that we can make money, because this is not acceptable. I don't want to just sit back and wait for someone to say, hey, you can work today. Like, that doesn't work for me.
Right.
So with her drive, we started, and I'm not even gonna lie, I was completely comfortable just doing nothing all day long. Right? That's who I was. I, I
All
was
right.
I was totally fine with it. I'm a totally different person now. But in that time, I was like, why are you wanting, like, let's just be lazy. Like, we have like a six month long vacation. The government's paying us. Like, let's just write it out. Right? Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely not how I think to this day.
All
But
right.
that moment is kind of where that switch flipped for us, right? And so we went to YouTube and said, how do we get rich? Well, real estate. Okay, well, how can we do real estate with absolutely no money? Because at this time we had no money, absolutely none. And so it led us to wholesaling. And so we just watched a bunch of wholesale videos. Like, this was like 30 days of watching YouTube before we actually took action on it. And so after we kind of felt comfortable with the content, we're like, who can teach us this stuff? Who can hold our hand while we do it? That's what we wanted. Right? We wanted a mentor. We just didn't know what the term was. We just wanted someone to tell us what to do. So
Right.
I reached out to a buddy of mine. It's my dad's friend. And he was like, I'd love to teach you guys what I know, but I have no time. He's like, but these guys are constantly sending me deals. They were wholesalers. Let me see if they'd be willing to teach y'all. And so they did. We were their guinea pig program. They've to this day never done another one, and they don't plan on doing any more because they said it was absolutely way too much work.
Y'all were that difficult, huh?
I guess so, man. I guess so. But I don't blame them at all. Like, just with the stuff that I'm doing, I totally get it. Like, it truly is a lot of work, especially if you don't have the actual onboarding processes ready to go. Man, it's so much work. But we went to their office every day for 30 days, and we paid them all the money that we had at the time, which was the stimulus checks that we got. We paid them $5,000, and we only had $97 left on our account after that. Once we went through all of their teaching, they would spend 1 to 2 hours teaching us different area of the business, and then the rest of the time we were just there in their office listening to their team, seeing what they were doing, and just watching. We were shadowing their entire operation, right? And that was fantastic. It gave us so much clarity on what we were supposed to do. We had such a head start. It was crazy. So after that 30 days, we kept going to their office for a little bit, and we were calling on their dead leads list. So all of the leads that they had called through and had said no at some point, or they just couldn't get a hold of them for whatever reason, they went to the dead list. And so that's where we started practicing off of their dead list. And my wife actually was able to get this guy who everybody in the office, including our two mentors, had called and weren't able to make anything happen with. This dude actually sold us 4 of his properties at one time. And so that was actually the second biggest assignment to date that we've done. And it was a total assignment of like 45,000. And we took home half of that and split the other half with our mentors who handled the dispo and the transaction coordinating side of the deal. So that was our very first deal. And we were living on a high. Like, that was the most money we'd ever made in like 1 month's time. And it was amazing. After that, we were like, okay, we got this. Let's just do everything we learned. So we just dumped a bunch of money into marketing. We had no systems in place. We were not prepared. We did not have the right mindset. And so essentially all of those marketing dollars went to waste. Like, short and sweet, they did. So we spent like 12 grand in all of that. And it hurts. It hurts now thinking about it still, but that's what happened. Expensive lesson.
It's a learning lesson, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like we weren't trying, right? We hired VAs, but we were not able to like keep up with the lead flow coming in. We didn't have the right mindset to actually like be committed to doing it. You know, we were just young and dumb and living off the money that we had. And at the time we went back to school because it was our last semester of school. We were like, let's just finish it. Let's get our degrees. You know, we spent all this money not to stop right here, you know. So we finished that off. And once we finished and we were done, we were like, okay, we lost all momentum. We have nothing coming in. We have no good leads. We feel stuck. All we knew was wholesale. We didn't know anything creative, right? It was just low cash offers is what we were sending out to everyone. Mm-hmm. So that's what led us to thinking, like, who's our next mentor? Who can we learn from next? And throughout all this time, we were still listening to podcasts and YouTube videos. And so we were really comfortable with Pace, and we liked his teaching style, and we liked the information he was giving. And so that's what led us to going towards SubTo. And again, we took another leap of faith. We did not have the money. By this time, those funds had dwindled. We did not have the money to pay SubTo. And so we actually did payment plans. And some months we paid $2,000 at the start, and then the next month was like 100, and then like 500. It was all over the place. Let me take this real quick. This is KJ. Hey, I'm on a podcast. Is it an emergency? Okay, I'll call you back. All right. Sorry, I always make it a point to answer the wife and the family. I heard a story about someone that didn't one time, and it was their parents calling because the dad was in the hospital or something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm never going to let that happen to me. I'm just going to answer.
Yeah. No, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. So, no, it's all good. That was the wife then, I take it.
Yeah.
All right. So you came in to real estate with absolutely no experience, and you did another thing, and then you joined SubTo and you started learning about creative.
Mhm.
So how has that how has that journey been? Have you done how is the creative with the multifamilies? Is that what you're doing to get these multifamilies? Creative
Yeah,
financing?
absolutely. Essentially, we like merged the two worlds, right? Believe it or not, a lot of people on the commercial side of things are not doing creative financing, which blows my mind. Like,
Hmm.
it blows my mind. I don't have anything to say, but it blows my mind. So we took that and kind of merged those concepts, right? We took what we were doing with the single family and the creative stuff. We're like, let's just look at multifamily the exact same way. Let's implement those creative strategies. Let's do seller financing offers to offer more than what anybody else is going to offer, but they're going to give us great terms. So our first deal, actually, it came from another SubTo student. They brought it to us. They had no idea what to do, and we were like 4 months into the journey, so we barely knew what to do. We were figuring it out though, and all they gave us, for anybody that's watching and knows what you should be getting, this is gonna blow your mind. All we got was the average rent, what he thought the average rent was, not even a rent roll. He just said, I think I'm getting about this every month or so with rent, right?
Wow.
And the water bill. That's all he gave us. We didn't have anything else. No management fees, no utility bills, no taxes, no insurance, no nothing.
Oh.
So all we just did we assumed worst case scenario. So we underwrote it at like 55% expenses and just kind of came up with a number that made sense for us, just being
Mhm.
very conservative with it. And so that's how we were able to kind of underwrite that deal into something that made sense. So ultimately, that deal came out. He wanted he wanted 2.9 was his purchase price. 2.9 mil is what he wanted. Our cash offer would have been at like 1.8, 1.9, and we told him that. He's like, yeah, it's not gonna be enough. And so we used our strategies to kind of figure out, okay, well, what is it you truly want? Like as Pace says, right? Go find the bunnies. So we
Mhm.
found his bunnies, and his bunnies was he wanted to have mailbox money, and he wanted the money to go to his kids when he passed away because he's in his like late 70s or early 80s or something like that.
Okay.
He was done. He didn't need the money. He had more money than he knew what to do with. So he just wanted to have the income coming in and go to his kids. He wanted to set that up for his kids in the long run. So what we ended up with in the end was a $3 million purchase price. So we actually went a little bit over what he asked. 5% down, and part of that went into escrow for our capex, and then a 3% rate, which at the time the interest was like 5 or 6 at the time. This was like right when the market started tanking. And here's the crazy part: 50-year note. So we have that note for
Hmm.
50 years, and we'll never sell it. We'll just keep riding that out. That one's just going to cash flow forever for us.
All right. Well, that's what's going to be my next question. How long do you plan on holding, these multifamilies?
It really depends on the structure that we put in place and the actual deal itself. For that one, if it wasn't a 50-year note at really great terms, we'd probably sell it in like 5 years. The
Okay.
second one, very, very similar terms, but we structured it in a way to sell it in 5 years because the seller, his main concern was he didn't want to sit and wait for it to ever get his money. He's like, I don't want to wait longer than 5 years. So he said, great, let's figure out a way to get you your money in 5 years. So we structured that deal in a way where it made sense for him and for us to be able to exit comfortably in 5 years. So it really just depends on the strategy. A typical value add strategy would be 2 to 3 year hold period, but with the all the uncertainty in the market right now, we've been underwriting no less than 5 years for these value add deals. And if we can exit, then we will, right? If we can exit and still hit the returns for our investors, absolutely. Let's sell it, move on, invest into a bigger one. Right? The faster that we can give our investors their money back, the
Hmm.
more they're going to love working with us, and the more they're going to want to just, let's do it again. Don't give me my money. Let's put it back in. Give me another deal. Let's put it in. So that's
Okay.
our goal, right? We want to make sure our investors are taken care of and happy. That way they want to do business with us again.
All right, cool. Well, we're about at 40 minutes. So the last thing I want to ask you, so I know you got some other things to do and I do too. I want to ask you, what kind of advice would you give to someone new in SubTo and wanting to do the same, go your route?
Yeah. Be, so I'll answer it in two questions, right? So
Right.
the first one is like just someone that's new, right? I would first really figure out what you want to do, and then that saying, don't cast a wide net, go deep, right? That's what I would do. Figure out what it is that you truly want, what resonates with you, what you enjoy doing. Because I never liked wholesaling. I never cared for it. And I feel like I never did it as well as I could have. But as soon as we switched to multifamily, I enjoyed it. I liked doing it. I wanted to do more. And because I was doing this and liked it, I started to excel at the single family as well. We're doing way better than we ever did before. And it's because I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing. So that would be my first thing for
Okay.
anybody that's new. Just figure out what you want to do first. You don't have to know it right away. Go and explore a couple different things and kind of get some general opinions from people and figure out what they're doing, why they like it, and why they don't like it, and then kind of take that input, compile it, and then figure out what your best answer is going to be. That's my first thing. The
All right.
second thing, for once you do figure it out, and if that thing is multifamily, first thing I would do is read the book Who Not How. That's going to be a game changer for anybody. I mean, even if you're not doing multifamily, it's a good book to read. But I consider that like the multifamily investor's Bible, right? That's exactly what multifamily is about. I mean, you heard me talk about it. I'm not a fan of the operations. I want to find a partner, someone I can work with to do that, right? That's who, not how. I'm figuring out who can help me do this, not how can I do it. So that would be the one biggest thing is learn that quickly and just start networking because I mean the cliche or the common term is your network is your net worth. That's so true. It really is. Just go out and start meeting people and figuring out what they need and then how you can kind of be valued to them. That's what's going to really set you apart. Um, and then figure out where your skill set is, right? If you're good with numbers, maybe you're an underwriter. If you're good on the phones, maybe you're doing outreach and you're finding these deals and you're bringing them to other people. Maybe you partner up with another underwriter. Maybe you don't know the numbers at all, but you're good on the phones. Maybe you partner up with an underwriter, kind of work together, and then find someone that can bring the money and operate it.
All right.
Or maybe you just have a bunch of connections with money. Like I said, you can get into deals just by raising capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on who you're bringing it to, on what that would look like. Uh, Disclaimer: consult your attorney and CPAs for all things that I've said today. This is educational purposes, not legal advice or anything like that. Just got to say that you got to
Right.
make sure that you're staying on top of that stuff, and
Right.
maybe you're a project manager, maybe you don't like doing any of that stuff, you just want to actually control the operation once it's done. Maybe you've been in property management your entire life. That would probably make you a really good person to be in an operations position. So figure out what you want to do, figure out where your skill set is, and then figure out who can you go partner up with to do some massive deals.
Cool, man. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you coming on. I got a ton more questions, so I'm gonna have to get you and your wife on here again, though.
Yeah,
I want to do the power couple thing. I'm gonna
let's
get
do it.
I
Part two.
don't know, Jeremy and Jennifer Montoya from Power Hour.
I do, yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to get them on too. So I want to do a special one where I have power couples. So y'all are gonna be considered a power couple. I hear about you a lot. So
Good. That means we're doing something right.
y'all are doing a lot. Yeah, I mean, I hear about you. So it's cool, man. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's been great conversation with you. I have a ton more questions, a lot more stuff to ask you, but it's going to have to be another time. I know we both got stuff to do, but if you have any links or anything that else you want to send, you mentioned the one for the children. If you have anything else you want me to link in the description of the video, it'll be on YouTube and Spotify, and eventually the audio will be on Apple. It's just taking a little bit longer time to get there, but send me the links and I'll put them up. Promote anything you need.
For sure. Yeah, I'll send you everything you need, and we'll kind of go from there. For anybody who's watching, you can always follow me at my Instagram. I have my name as my Instagram tag, and we'll kind of go from there. You'll be able to stay in touch through that.
Yeah, I'll also put that in the description links, your Instagram also. So cool. Joseph Mud Family Home Buyers, right? Or the Mud Home Buyers.
Mud Home Buyers, that's the wholesale operation, and then we're still trying to figure out an official name for the multifamily. So that one's a work in progress. Stay tuned.
All right, cool, man. Really appreciate your time, and I'm gonna have to keep you on a couple minutes probably to get everything downloaded, but I'm gonna end the recording now, and I thank you for your time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.